Hey guys, it's Tyler at Hope PM, driving to a property as usual, and just thought I'd do another blog entry here. Wanted to talk real quick about Colorado lease break laws. So that's both from the tenant perspective, so how can a tenant break their lease in Colorado, and how can a landlord break or terminate a lease early. So as far as on the tenant side goes, if you're a tenant and you want to break your lease, the most common way that that's done is by exercising what's called your early termination clause or your lease buyout clause. So that's just a paragraph inside your lease that states, hey, if you want to break your lease before the lease end date, you're going to pay a fee of X, and you'll be able to move out at whatever point after that. So it could be really it's whatever date you and the landlord agree on, as long as you pay that early termination fee. It's usually around 2 months rent, but that's the most common way. The other way is that if there's a breach of the warranty of habitability. So there's very common kind of nationwide habitability standards that mean that you have to have heat, you have to have a roof that's not allowing in water and stuff from outside. The property has to be securable, so you have to be able to close windows and doors to keep it secure. You have to have running water for sanitation, so you can flush toilets. And typically that's the most common kind of baseline habitability standards. In Colorado, a few things are added onto that. The functioning of the core appliances, meaning the range and the refrigerator, have to work. That's a warranty of habitability item. There can't be rampant mold on non-water handling surfaces. If it's on a water handling surface, you as the tenant, that's on you, because you're not keeping those surfaces dry or clean enough to prevent the growth of mold. But if it's growing on drywall, wood, stuff like that, it shouldn't hold water. The owner needs to have acknowledged and begun some type of plan to mitigate that within 96 hours. Bed bugs, warranty of habitability item, as well as hot water. So typically in most places it's just running water, but here hot water as well, and then functioning AC during hot days. You can claim a breach of warranty and break your lease under those violations if they're not being handled in good faith. Now, I would caution you against that, because you're going to have a burden of proof to prove that, hey, the landlord was not making any efforts in good faith to correct these. Other than that, those are the main things that we see. If you're a member of the military and you get PCS, that means a permanent change of station, you can get out of your lease penalty free. And there are some other kind of less common scenarios there around, like domestic abuse, that you should consult an attorney with. They're very rare. As far as a landlord, how can you break a lease? Again, early termination clause, the tenant pays it, and you got to let them out of the lease early. Assuming that's in your lease. It does have to be in your lease. Be sure you're not ignoring warranty of habitability, maintenance, and repair items. You're getting those things fixed that I just mentioned. But the other thing to think about that's a more pressing issue for you as the landlord is the new legislation around what they call essentially constructive eviction. So there's a new law that states that you have to give somebody 90 days notice that you're not going to renew their lease, and you can only refuse to renew their lease if certain conditions have been met. And those conditions are that you're selling the house, that you or an immediate family member are moving in, you're having to do such extensive repairs and renovation that nobody could live there during them, or you're converting the premises to a short-term rental, or you're demolishing it, rebuilding it, something that makes it uninhabitable. So if one of those issues or one of those conditions is not met, legally you can't refuse the tenant a renewal of their lease. Now, there's some obvious caveats there. If they're late with their rent more than 3 times, if they're denying neighbors of the quiet enjoyment of their property, if they are violating the lease in some substantial way, you do not have to renew them. But just keep that 90-day number in mind. If you're not going to renew somebody for one of those reasons, if you tell them at day 30, technically they can stay 90 days even after the end of their lease. If you have other questions on this stuff, give us a call at 720-737-1373. Thanks.